Right, if you just joined us, you're still on to Enterprise Morning, reaching you from Enterprise Television. Let's get to our conversation for today. The Defence Headquarters, DHQ, has dismissed a viral video circulating on social media that purportedly shows terrorists overrunning a military base in Marte, Borno State in Nigeria. According to Major General Marcus Kangi, a Director of Defense Media Operations, the video is a recycled clip from a different incident first posted in December of 2020. He stated that the footage is being used by criminal elements and terrorist sympathizers to spread misinformation and undermine public confidence in the armed forces. General Kangi clarified that while troops in Marte did come under attack on May the 12th, 2025, they successfully repelled terrorists after a fierce-gun battle resulting in numerous terrorist casualties. He urged the public to disregard the fake video and rely on official sources for accurate information regarding military operations. And a separate development, well, we would get to that. Emeka, thank you so very much for being here. We truly do appreciate you. But let's talk about the issue. Remember, I have the viral video. I don't know if it's possible for our editor to have a replay of that particular video.
I've seen it.
Yes, you've seen it. Yes, very gory, if you would ask me. How that our brothers, our fathers, our uncles are just laid to rest like they don't matter. Rather than the DHQ come to maybe provide ways for us to get it better, they are coming against it and saying it was a video of past events. Do you agree to that, Emeka?
Well, it's up to them. That's their business. If they say it's a video of a past event in December 2020, okay, I believe them. But the point, what is really laughable, not actually dismissing the gravity of the situation, because I pay respects to the dead, to those who died in the attack and other such attacks. The strange thing there is that he says that people should rely on official channels that only speak after unofficial channels have given the report. What kind of official channels are those ones? Are you not supposed to react so that we can have, a balanced and nuanced view of any development? I mean, this thing took place since May 12. But when are they speaking up? When are they speaking up? So it just tells you that, look at the wording of the statement. Terrorist sympathizers and all of that. That is what is bothering them. More than the fact of their incompetence. More than the fact of their their refusal to feed Nigerians with information. You just cut and join. They don't have original ideas. They just cut and join. Just watch it. You will see that same line. That same line will be, in another press statement in not too long a time from now. That is a sad thing, So, yes, they came under attack, which we know, which has been talked about, which is still being talked about, but what is more important is, what are we going to do to stem this tide? To stem the resurgence of Boko Haram and ISWAP? We're dealing with about six insurgencies across the north. We have Boko Haram, we have ISWAP, we have Mahmuda, we have Lakurawa, that is 4. Then we have other insurgents in other parts of the country. What are we going to do about all these things? When we bring an end to all of these things? That is what we're talking about. We're not talking about who is launching the most viral content or who is not. Who is a terrorist sympathizer or not. You are accusing others of being terrorist sympathizers. But what do? When you capture terrorists, you integrate them into your system. You call them repentant. So what's the meaning of this thing? They are recruits now, future recruits for your repentance, for a repentance program. And that is the unfortunate thing. That's the unfortunate thing. You heard what a lawmaker said, that a woman gave birth, she went into labor, premature labor, I mean, someone in Zamfara had twins, and bandits fed her children to their dogs. So how much more despicable can people get, you know, in this? So it tells you we are just busy fighting a conventional warfare because it's padding the pockets of some people. They know that this thing is not a conventional warfare, that there's no way you can win these people by just playing by the books. You got to use some strategies that will really decimate these terrorists. You got to use serious strategies.
Yes,
but
because
the problem is that
Emeka, one would really, wonder how that these insurgents, are able to adopt technologies that our military, conventional military group do not have. Why would an insurgent group that is not properly trained know how to properly use a drone attack on a conventional system? Don't you think there's something highly suspect that Nigerians are not yet seeing?
Oh, no, come on. Do you think these people are in business, though? Or do we think there are some little children just playing in the sand? These insurgents are in business. They are terrorists. And there was somebody now, a former governor, Nasir Rufai, once said that those terrorists, that they are businessmen, that they are engaged in business. So that is what is going on. They're engaged in business now because they've seen Nigeria as a lucrative location where they can make, where they can make good money. They've seen Nigeria as a lucrative place. And when they kidnap people, they get hundreds of millions. I mean, look at the incident under Muhammadu Buhari, where they kidnapped, people on a train. One person, the family paid 200 million for his release. The others, their families raised 100 million for their release. So what are you talking about? When you find out that, people you can see the CFA has become stronger than the Naira. What is fueling it? It is money from all these insurgencies now. It's money from all these things pumping into this. What's the size of the 17 economies, that in the 17 African economies that use the CFA? Compared to Nigeria, the largest economy in Africa. What's the size of their GDP, combined GDP? That the CFA will now be stronger than Nigeria. What is fueling it? It is illicit money, illicit funds. That's what is fueling it. So these guys will go to any length. They are desperate enough. In fact, if they can even get fighter jets to bomb anywhere in Nigeria, they'll do it. That is what our generals have refused to really national security advisor and all that. That is what they have refused to realize. That these guys are not just fighting you because they are pushing an ideology. They tell you Boko Haram, Boko is haram. All those ones are just for theatrical shows. The real thing is that look at the Lake Chad. They've taken over parts of the Lake Chad, and you know that the Lake Chad, you have oil. There's believed to be oil around the Lake Chad, crude oil. Then you have huge fishing in the Lake Chad, fishing that, brings this mangala fish we talk about. What about watermelons and other things like that? Agriculture, that feeds the economies of Nigeria, Chad, Cameroon, Niger, Then you look around, look at what these people are doing. From the Mahmuda, that, the Senate raised the alarm some years ago that you had this group of terrorists in Kwara State, in Niger State, that something should be done about them. When the military tackled them in Nigeria, they left and moved to Kwara. The other day, they attacked, they crossed the border and attacked, they sacked a military base in Benin Republic. Now, Benin Republic has shut the border to a village in Nigeria. So when you look at all of these things, and then you look at illegal mining, these terrorists, according to reports, they're involved in illegal mining. Seriously. And you know what illegal mining fetches? Whatever the mineral, illegal mining fetches so much money. And you think these guys will not use anything? They will use drones. They are just trying drones now. Don't be surprised if they find one country where they can get some fighter jets. And then you will now see that. You see, look at how ISIS has taken on the rest of the world. ISIS. Look at the operation, what it took the United States and some other countries in coalition, to drive ISIS out of Iraq. Have they been driven out? Have they been finally driven out of all those places? The answer is no. They're still in these places. Or is it Al-Qaeda? We have the Sahel, sort of ungoverned territories. You have Russian troops, Russian mercenaries of the Wagner group, waging war against these insurgents, driving them out of countries where they are based. And where are they coming to? They're coming to Nigeria. They all come to Nigeria. Any insurgent, any terrorist driven out of any country in Africa heads to Nigeria. So that tells you that, we must change our tactics. You see, the reason why they are able to attack these bases, like I learned, is because the chief of army staff, who died, Lagbaja, he changed the strategy. That one of his predecessors, Buratai, Tuko Buratai, Lieutenant General, was using the strategy of super camps, where you had a large numbers of soldiers with equipment and all of that. It was difficult to, attack and overrun. Change strategy to smaller forward operating bases, like this Marathi and the rest of them. So these insurgents now find it easier to attack those forward operating bases because they have fewer troops, fewer vehicles, but they help, in keeping the presence of the military in as many locations as possible. So, but you now find out that they also try to operate around dark so that it will be difficult for the Air Force to get them. But you see, these things are just excuses, lame excuses, untenable excuses. We can deal with them. If they like, let them appear at midnight or something. Excuse me. If we have, deterrence, if we use technology, we're supposed to have satellites. I hope you know. We're supposed to have about 4 satellites or so. Recently, I heard something that they are trying to resuscitate satellite. What happened to the ones that we launched into space? What happened to them? If we're really serious people in government, I'm telling you, with those satellites, we can detect anything. We can detect the movement of these insurgents. And then once their movement is detected, of course, it's easy to alert the military, to stop them in their tracks. You won't even allow them to go far. You stop them in their tracks. So
the intention basically, yes, the intention basically is not there. And I would love to believe that's one of the reason why these insurgents continue to blossom. And even if they need not to, because they are really not that too trained, and one would wonder why they have a superlative power.
No, that's where we're making the mistake.
Okay.
That they are not well trained. They are not conventional soldiers.
Yes.
But do you know that there are soldiers who have, defected from the Nigerian army, who have deserted the Nigerian army and gone to join insurgents? Do you know there are soldiers? Do you know these people, they can handle a weapon? That is what is most important. Whether you say they are trained or they are not trained, that one is depends on how, calling a spade a shovel. It depends on you. The fact of the matter is that they are, what propels them. That's what we should look at. What is motivating these people? It's economic conditions. It's called economic considerations. So when they kidnap people and they get millions, hundreds of millions as ransom, they can buy weapons, they can buy drugs, they can hold swaths of territory. And look at our borders. Our borders are largely ungoverned, are largely unmonitored. We have large borders. People just cross our borders anyhow. Smugglers also bring in rice through Kebbi, from the River Niger. And then, the nations around us are largely very weak nations. Look at Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger. They are depending on Russian troops to repel these terrorists because they don't have the capacity to deal with it. Is it Benin Republic? Is it Chad? All these nations is it Cameroon? Cameroon that has had a dysfunctional leadership for how many decades? So the problem, Nigeria has a multifaceted problem in its hands. And we are constrained by international law because that was why Jonathan, former President Goodluck Jonathan, decided to use mercenaries, because there are certain things the Nigerian military cannot engage in because of the Vienna Convention. They cannot engage in certain practices. And that's why Jonathan just quietly, wisely went and got mercenaries. But the whole thing was politicized, I mean, you saw in 6 weeks, he was able to deal with this insurgents. And I have said it publicly. Let us go and get mercenaries to deal with these people. We cannot continue wasting the lives of our gallant soldiers and all that. Look, there are times to put ego aside. Some leading nations of the world use mercenaries. Russia uses the Wagner Group of mercenaries. Some nations of the world, they use mercenaries. So what is the pride, national pride we're out for? When these criminals are, these terrorists are out there, let's get mercenaries.
All right.
Get mercenaries from wherever and clear these people.
All right. While we, of course, hope that mercenaries will do it, we just hope that it is not the Asaris type or kind of mercenaries that are, of course...
No. Sorry to interrupt you again.
Yes. Sorry
to interrupt you. Asari, it was acknowledged that Asari helped to clear Abuja-Kaduna Highway. Yes. Really? Asari Dokubo's boys. Yes. It is acknowledged.
Oh, wow.
Ask anybody in military, they acknowledge it. Yes. That his boys helped to bring sanity to that road. So we cannot, okay, you say, okay, let's give the example of Tompolo. What is Tompolo? Is that not a mercenary?
It's a mercenary, of course.
But we just clothe it in very fine, we say it's a Niger. What do we call him, by the way? Is it not, that is, what do they even call Tompolo? What do you describe him as? Well, that's a mercenary.
It's a mercenary, yeah.
That's a mercenary, for crying out aloud. In a local mercenary. That's what we are using. So let somebody come and tell me now that he's not a mercenary. That is not a mercenary. Let somebody come and please tell me, like, teach me like a 5-year-old what job Tompolo is doing, in the waters of the Niger Delta. Let's stop deceiving ourselves.
All right, Emeka.
We need all the help we can get.
Yes. We need all the help that we can get. But of course, while we'll talk about insecurity in different parts of the country, but let's take a look at politics for a while here. And we can say politics without mentioning electoral system. In a separate development, the House of Representatives has advanced a bill aiming to make voting compulsory for eligible Nigerians. The proposed legislation, which has passed its second reading, seeks to amend the Electoral Act of 2022 to mandate voting in all national and state elections. Under the bill, non-compliance could result in a fine up to 100,000 naira or a 6 months jail term. Emeka, speak to me on this matter. Are the parliamentarians, are they shooting more than they can aim?
You know that there are some laws these people have passed that are just there that cannot be implemented. It's one thing to pass a law. It's another thing for you to have the necessary, capabilities to implement the law. They just make themselves a laughing stock, and that's a sad thing. You are saying to a fine of 200,000 or 6 months in jail to Nigerians who are hungry, and they would rather go to prison and get free food now. Get free food for 6 months, free accommodation for 6 months. You know what rent? The cost of rent now. People would rather go, yes, no problem. How do you achieve that? How many homes will you, so you go from house to house, you enter people's bedrooms. How many court orders will you get? You go to people's bedrooms to see those who are sleeping. Or you go to where people are playing football on election day to seize the football and grab all of them. Grab underage Nigerians. You will have more court cases on your hands to contend with than you ever imagined.
But Emeka, we're even talking about that. We are not even mentioning the electoral umpire that had not made use of people who have even made their votes available. How about cases of disenfranchisement?
I was coming to that. Yes. Now I was coming to that. In the last governorship election in Lagos, you saw it. It was on camera where thugs were telling people, "Hey, you look like an Igbo person. Go away, don't vote." What did INEC do about it? Why didn't INEC cancel elections in those places? They did nothing about it. You are saying you want to force Nigerians to vote. The Nigerians who go out to vote, do their votes count? Do you make their votes count? The answer is no. And then you are wasting your time saying you will force Nigerians to go and vote. How? How will you force Nigerians to go and vote? People who go to them, how many? It means that you just want to just finally, maybe you want to spark a revolt in the Nigerian security services. Because an election day, the security services are supposed to maintain, law and order. Now you want to take them again to go and start chasing people who don't vote. Look, you see around the world, voter apathy is a problem. That's why, excuse me, you see politicians in the West, they just developed that standard playbook of immigration. No, we're going to limit the numbers of people coming to our country. It's a standard playbook because they believe that when they can demonize immigrants, all the crime in our country, the poverty in our country, the hunger in our country is being caused by immigrants. The people will buy into it, clap for them, and then there will be more voter turnout. But at the end of the day, when they've won elections, they will bring out programs asking for people to come in from different parts of the world. So they know that there are people, are sufficiently distracted enough, not to go and dig into the real reasons why things are not really working in their countries. It's the same thing, basically. It's the same thing worldwide. So when we talk about voter apathy, it's a global problem. It's a global problem. How many elections in Nigeria have you recorded more than 40%? Some even 30%. How many? Even when politicians cook figures. There was a local government election in this country where, the state independent electoral commission wrote results. There was no voting. In fact, that was novel. There was no voting. A state in the southeast where results, what am I saying? 2 states in the southeast where results were written. There was no voting. People went to the polling stations to vote. There were no electoral officials. There were no voting materials. And they just went to the next thing, results were declared. In fact, in one incident, one viral video, one chairman, local government chairman, came out to say that, at a public event, he was telling the people, we thank you for voting us into power. And the women there were saying, we never voted for anybody. We didn't vote for anybody. We didn't vote for anybody. So, what do you have? Politicians hijack votes. They use, what's it called? They use thugs to hijack votes. They go to collation centers. They change the results of elections. So why do you want to force people to vote? You can as well scrap INEC and just sit in your offices, write results. And then let's continue until one day when this nation dissolves, when this nation collapses. Then maybe we'll come to our senses. That's a simple thing. You can't force people to vote. You can't, because you are a bunch of corrupt thieves, kleptocrats, criminals, looting the nation dry. And you want me to leave more serious matters of survival to go and stand in the sun to vote for you? How? At a gathering the other day, of some senior editors in Nigeria, I was there. A senior editor was saying that for the first time when his son voted, his son turned 18 and went and, got the voters. First time this boy voted, he waited till the results were collected and everything, written and everything. By the next day, when it was announced, the result of the polling unit had been changed. He said his son was so disheartened that he said he will never vote in any election in Nigeria again. So an 18-year-old boy, come. The youth of Nigeria will rise against these people one day, whether they like it or not. Because enough of all this rubbish. They just, they rub it in our faces. They destroy the nation. They destroy the hope of the youth. And then they now have the audacity to say they will jail people. Let me tell you, those lawmakers, I will be very happy for them to be jailed. After they've left, for them to be jailed. Let them be jailed for life imprisonment, so that they will know how easy it is for them to make such ridiculous pronouncements.
Very, very, very true. The truth remains that nature always has a place of balance at all times. I would love to believe our parliamentarians have woken up to realize that it would come to a time when people would no longer come out to vote. And therefore, the world would ask, how did they emerge as leaders representing different constituencies when there weren't people on the polling station to vote them in? And I guess that's one of the reasons why they had decided to pass this bill. And one would wonder, the same politicians hoping to pass the bill are the same politicians that sponsor thuggery in different parts of the country and equally force themselves against the will of the people. It's actually a very sad situation. Thank you so very much, Emeka, for being here. We truly do appreciate you.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. Thank you very much.
All right, that's the time we have for today. We'd love to say thank you to you for making this a date. Please do well to follow us if you may. You can always find us at enterprisetvnews.com. You may equally like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV 7. I am Henry Igwebike. Thank you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.